Most people live in ordinary places, busy cities, quiet towns, and peaceful neighborhoods. From the crowded streets of Japan to the vast landscapes of Africa, millions of people go about their daily lives without worrying if they'll make it home tomorrow. But not everyone is that lucky. Around the world, there are people living in places where danger is part of everyday life. Places surrounded by active volcanoes, toxic lakes, deadly roads, and extreme conditions. Yet despite the risks, they continue to call these places home. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most dangerous places on Earth where people still live. Ormit, one of the most isolated towns on Earth. Located on the east coast of Greenland, this small settlement is surrounded by ice, mountains, and freezing water. Fewer than 400 people live here, and for much of the year, the town is cut off from the rest of the world. Just imagine living in a place where winter can last for months, temperatures drop far below zero, and help is often hundreds of miles away. But the cold isn't the only danger. The area around Ormit is home to polar bears, one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. Residents must always stay alert when traveling outside the town. In some cases, people even carry protection when moving through remote areas. So how did people end up living here? The town was founded in 1925 by Inuit hunters who moved to the area because of its rich hunting grounds. For generations, families survived by hunting seals, fish, and other animals from the Arctic wilderness. Life has never been easy here. Long periods of darkness, extreme cold, and isolation are part of everyday life. Yet, despite all these challenges, people continue to stay. Why? For many residents, this isn't just a dangerous place. It's home. Their families have lived here for generations, and they share a strong connection to the land, the sea, and their traditions. While most of us worry about traffic or crowded streets, the people of Ormit face the harsh Arctic every single day. And that's what makes it one of the most dangerous places on Earth where people still choose to live. This is Mount Merapi, Indonesia's most active volcano. From a distance, it looks peaceful. Green forests cover its slopes, farmers work their fields, and villages sit beneath its shadow. But Merapi is one of the most dangerous volcanoes on Earth. For hundreds of thousands of years, it has erupted again and again, sending rivers of lava, deadly ash clouds, and superheated gas racing down its mountainside. One of Merapi's deadliest eruptions happened in 2010. Scientists noticed warning signs as the volcano began to awaken. The ground shook, pressure built beneath the summit, and authorities ordered thousands of people to evacuate. Then, disaster struck. A massive explosion sent scorching clouds of ash and rock down the slopes at incredible speeds. Entire villages were destroyed, and more than 300 people lost their lives. Yet the most surprising part of Merapi's story is that people never truly leave. But why? The reason is simple. The volcano's rich soil helps farmers grow crops and support their families. Today, scientists closely monitor the mountain, but everyone knows one thing. Mount Merapi will erupt again. The only question is when. In this part of the world, danger comes from every direction. Stretching across India and Bangladesh, the Sundarbans is the largest mangrove forest on Earth. Millions of people depend on its rivers and forests for survival. But life here comes at a price. Powerful cyclones regularly strike the region, flooding villages and destroying homes. Rising sea levels continue to erode the land, forcing some communities to move. And then there are the tigers. The Sundarbans is home to the Bengal tiger, one of the world's most powerful predators. Fishermen and honey collectors enter the forest every day, knowing a single encounter can turn deadly. Yet people keep returning. The forest provides fish, crabs, and other resources that support countless families. For those who live here, the Sundarbans is more than a dangerous wilderness. It's a place where survival depends on living side by side with the forces of nature. Imagine living in a place where the air is so cold that exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Welcome to Oymyakon, Russia, the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. Hidden deep in Siberia, this remote village was originally used as a stopping point for reindeer herders searching for a thermal spring. Over time, families settled here, creating one of the most unlikely communities on the planet. But life in Oymyakon is a constant battle against nature. In 1933, temperatures plunged to an astonishing negative 67.7 degrees Celsius, one of the lowest ever recorded in a permanently inhabited location. At these temperatures, car engines can freeze solid, batteries stop working, and simply being outdoors for too long can be dangerous. Even death becomes more complicated. The frozen ground is so hard that graves must sometimes be dug over several days using fires to thaw the earth. Travel can be deadly as well. Snowstorms, poor visibility, and extreme cold have stranded travelers, turning simple journeys into life-threatening situations. Yet despite the danger, hundreds of people still call Oymyakon home. Why? Because for generations, their families have lived here. Their traditions, culture, and livelihoods are tied to this frozen land. For most of us, Oymyakon would be impossible to survive. But for the people who live here, it's simply another winter. Imagine waking up every morning inside an active volcano. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, hundreds of kilometers from mainland Japan, lies one of the most isolated communities on Earth, Aogashima. From above, the island looks impossible. A massive volcanic crater surrounds the entire village, meaning the people here live inside a volcano that could one day erupt again. And that's not just a theory. In 1785, a devastating eruption destroyed much of the island and forced survivors to flee for their lives. Many never made it out. Yet decades later, people returned. Today, around 170 residents still call Aogashima home. They farm, work, raise families, and live their daily lives surrounded by the towering walls of a volcano. The island is peaceful now, but scientists continue to monitor volcanic activity beneath the ground. Because everyone here knows the truth. The volcano that created their home is still alive. And if it awakens again, one of the world's most isolated communities could find itself trapped in the shadow of another eruption. For most people, living inside an active volcano sounds like a nightmare. For the people of Aogashima, it's simply home. Most cities are built to make life easier. Norilsk feels like it was built to challenge it. Located deep inside the Arctic Circle, this remote Russian city faces brutal winters, months of darkness, and extreme cold. But the weather is only part of the story. Built around vast nickel deposits, Norilsk became one of the world's largest mining centers. The industry brought jobs and growth, but also severe pollution that continues to affect the region. Getting here isn't easy either. There are no roads connecting Norilsk to the rest of Russia. Most supplies arrive by air or river during the short summer months. Still, more than 100,000 people live here, building their lives in one of the harshest environments on Earth. For many, Norilsk may seem impossible to call home. For its residents, It's simply where life goes on. What if the only way to survive the heat was to live underground? Welcome to Coober Pedy, a small town in the heart of the Australian outback. At first glance, it doesn't look like much. But hidden beneath the desert lies an entire underground world. Homes, churches, hotels, and even shops have been carved into the rock below the surface. The reason is simple. Summer temperatures can soar above 45 degrees Celsius, turning the landscape into a furnace. Living underground provides a natural escape from the relentless heat. But the heat isn't the only challenge. Coober Pedy is one of the most isolated towns in Australia. Surrounded by vast desert, residents live hundreds of kilometers from major cities where help can be far away in an emergency. The town was built on opal mining, and for over a century, miners have searched the harsh desert for the precious gemstones hidden beneath the ground. Life here isn't easy. Dust storms, extreme temperatures, and isolation are part of everyday life. Yet for the people of Coober Pedy, this underground town offers something special. In one of the hottest and most remote places on Earth, they found a way not just to survive, but to build a community unlike any other. Because in Coober Pedy, going underground isn't a choice. It's a way of life. Imagine living in a place so remote that if you need urgent help, there isn't even an airport to fly you out. Welcome to Tristan da Cunha, the most remote inhabited island on Earth. Lost in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, the nearest continent is thousands of kilometers away. Fewer than 300 people call this island home. Life here has never been easy. Powerful storms regularly batter the island. Rough seas can cut it off from the outside world, and supply ships may take days to arrive. But nature's greatest threat lies beneath their feet. In 1961, the island's volcano suddenly erupted. Lava flowed toward the settlement, forcing the entire population to evacuate and abandon their homes. For the first time in generations, Tristan da Cunha stood empty. Many believed the residents would never return, but they did. Today, the community continues to live on this isolated island, surrounded by one of the world's most unforgiving oceans and beneath a volcano that could one day awaken again. For most people, Tristan da Cunha feels like the end of the world. For the people who live here, it's the only home they've ever known. Imagine living in a city so high that simply walking can leave you struggling to breathe. Welcome to La Rinconada, Peru, the highest permanent settlement on Earth. Perched more than 5,000 meters above sea level in the Andes Mountains, this remote city is home to tens of thousands of people. But life here is far from easy. The air contains nearly half the oxygen found at sea level. New arrivals often suffer headaches, dizziness, and severe altitude sickness. Even everyday tasks can feel exhausting. Yet people continue to come here for one reason: gold. Beneath the frozen mountains surrounding La Rinconada lies one of the region's richest gold deposits. Thousands of miners work in dangerous tunnels, enduring freezing temperatures and hazardous conditions in the hope of striking it rich. But for most, that dream never comes true. The city lacks many basic services, and harsh weather, pollution, and difficult living conditions are part of everyday life. Still, despite the risks, thousands choose to stay. Because in La Rinconada, survival is difficult, but the promise of gold keeps people coming back. This is one of the highest, harshest, and most dangerous places people call home. What if I told you there is a place on Earth that looks more like another planet than our own? Welcome to the Danakil Depression, one of the hottest and most hostile places where people live and work. Some researchers even study this region to understand how life might survive on Mars and other worlds. But unlike Mars, people actually live and work here. The Danakil Depression is one of the hottest inhabited regions on Earth. Temperatures regularly soar above 45 degrees Celsius, turning even simple tasks into a struggle. Beneath the surface, another danger lurks. This region sits where 3 tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart, creating earthquakes, volcanic activity, and a constantly changing landscape. For generations, Afar salt miners have crossed this unforgiving terrain, cutting salt blocks by hand under the scorching sun. The work is brutal, the heat is relentless, and help is often hundreds of kilometers away. To most people, the Danakil Depression looks like a place where humans were never meant to survive. Yet for those who call it home, this alien world is more than a hostile landscape. It's a way of life.